There is a question embedded in the title of Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender that the film itself takes seriously. Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender bases its narrative entirely around how Aang feels about being the last airbender. Not the Avatar, not the savior of the world, simply the sole surviving member of a culture that was destroyed before he was even old enough to understand what was being lost. That is a harder question, and this film leads with it. The original Avatar The Last Airbender, the Nickelodeon animated series that ran from 2005 to 2008, was one of the defining artistic achievements in American animation of the past 30 years. Across 3 seasons, it explored genocide, totalitarianism, trauma, and the ethics of pacifism with a depth that its young demographic did not merely tolerate, but actively embraced. It was a children's show that trusted children completely. The film is set years after the end of the Hundred-Year War. The four nations live in harmony. Aang, now in his 20s, voiced by Eric Nam with a sincerity that anchors everything, has been struggling with a grief that peace has not resolved. He is the last airbender. He carries the memory of the air nomads alone in a way that no one around him can fully share. This existential loneliness drives him away from his avatar duties and toward the abandoned temples of his vanished people. What interrupts this private mourning is a non-bending terrorist group called the Denied, seeking a staff capable of granting bending abilities to those born without them. Their motivation, the disenfranchisement of non-benders in a world organized around those who have the power, is genuinely intriguing. And complicating matters even further is the relationship between Aang and Tagah, an enigmatic airbender played by Dave Bautista, frozen in time much as Aang was, carrying his own variation of the same trauma. Batista brings gruff, effective physicality to the voice performance, and the film uses this dynamic to articulate something the original series never quite had occasion to explore. What it means for a survivor to encounter another survivor. How shared grief can be both a comfort and a complication. Both are products of war, both are struggling with the weight of being the last. They are foils in the most precise sense. Not opposites, parallel wounds examining each other. Eric Nam's voice performance deepens the film's emotionality throughout, sincerely conveying Aang's conflicting struggles in a way that makes you feel the weight of 20 years of franchise history. But the animation is where this film most thoroughly distinguishes itself. Series creators Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, and director Lauren Montgomery, working with animators from Flying Bark and Studio Mir, have produced something extraordinary. 2D hand-drawn animation on a cinematic scale, not attempted with this ambition in Western studios in decades. The bending sequences are blisteringly kinetic and beautifully fluid, each element rendered with a specificity that communicates not just action, but character. The way Toph's earthbending is blunt and improvisational, the way Aang's airbending is evasive and elegant, even in its most aggressive expressions. And that makes what happened to this film genuinely infuriating. After a damaging shift from theatrical release to streaming, and an even more damaging leak, Avatar Aang The Last Airbender was dumped on Paramount Plus, depriving both the film and its audience of the theatrical experience the animation demands. 1 week of Oscar qualifying screenings in only New York and Los Angeles are not sufficient acknowledgement of what the team at Avatar Studios accomplished here. There is real anger in watching something of this visual ambition rendered on a streaming platform when it should have been playing to packed houses around the world. This film deserved better, and its audience deserved better. As a first chapter in a new phase of a beloved franchise, with this fall's Avatar 7 Havens coming up next, it establishes something essential. The people making these projects understand what Avatar is, and why it has mattered for 20 years. 18 years after the original series ended, DiMartino, Konietzko, and Montgomery have delivered the finest the Avatar franchise has ever looked on screen. A story that earns its place in the continuity by asking a question the original never fully had time to answer. And that is no small thing. Avatar Aang The Last Airbender is streaming now on Paramount Plus, and Avatar 7 Havens is coming this fall. So let me know in the comments, have you seen Avatar Aang The Last Airbender? And are you ready for Avatar 7 Havens? And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Fandom Frontline for more deep dives into the stories that shape our fandom.